Progressives are often asked how we are going to pay for things. The other day, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was on the Young Turks, and she was asked for her response to the how are you going to pay for it question.
There's those who say, look, I agree with you, but how do you pay for this? How do you make it economically feasible, referring to Medicare for all? There are some who argue and say, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Cortez, and I'm with you, but a $15 minimum wage may stifle economic growth. Alexandria, what's wrong with that framing?
Well, I think what is wrong is that we end up falling into a trap. We end up falling into the right's trap of framing, which is that whenever they want something, we never ask how much it's going to cost. Whenever they want to authorize unlimited war, whenever they want to cut our tax revenue down by $2 trillion, we never ask, how are you going to pay for some of the largest expenditures that we've had in the last 20 years. It's only when we talk about education, healthcare, and housing do we talk about empty pockets. The truth of the matter is the way that we pay for these programs is the same exact way that we pay for endless war, trillion-dollar tax cuts, except the only difference is that this is an actual investment in our economy that creates wealth on the other end, whereas all of those other things do not.
Yes, 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 yes. Finally, a politician who answers the how are you going to pay for a question the right way. I was just talking about this the other day. I was talking about the hypocrisy of the how are you going to pay for a question and how it is just so unbelievable to me. When it comes to tax cuts for the rich or our bloated military budget, no one ever asks how we're going to pay for it. But when it comes to investing in the American people and making people's lives better, the media and our politicians act like what we want for this country is pie in the sky and that all we want is free stuff. But it's not free. It's our taxpayer money that pays for these things. We should expect our taxpayer money to come back to us and benefit us in some way, as opposed to how the majority of our taxpayer money is currently being used in funding, as I have said, our extremely bloated military budget. And this money isn't being used to help people. Tragically and inexcusably, we use this money to bomb people, go to war, and make people's lives worse. So much so that the world considers us to be the biggest threat to world peace in the world. And this was a poll that was conducted when Obama was still in office. So this is not some Trump poll. We have been monsters in terms of foreign policy for a long time now. And Trump has only been making things worse. He has been an absolute disaster in terms of foreign policy. Oh, and guess what? The Senate just sent a bill to Trump to increase military spending to $717 billion, which would represent an $114.2 billion increase in military spending from 2017. And remember, we already spend by far the most money on our military out of any country on earth. In 2017, we spent $452.3 billion more than the next highest country. I mean, the amount we were spending on our military was already insane. But now, our representatives in Washington want to increase our military budget by again $114.2 billion. And yet, I didn't hear anybody debate how we can afford an $114.2 billion increase in military spending. So we have the money for our insanely bloated military budget, which we use to bomb people, go to war, and make people's lives worse. But we don't have the money to join the many countries around the world and guarantee healthcare to all of our people as a right in order to save the many people we lose per year due to lack of coverage. We have the money to give huge tax cuts to people who don't need it, but we don't have the money to join the many countries around the world and make public colleges and universities tuition free in order to address the very real issue of student loan debt. This is beyond wrong, and when I say that the wealthy didn't need this tax cut, I'm not kidding. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The wealthy really need to start paying their fair share of taxes. Over the past 4 decades, the middle and working class of this country have seen a significant portion of their wealth get transferred to the people in this country who, as aforementioned, don't need it, and the wealthiest people in this country. So much so that as of 2016, the top 1% owns 4 times as much wealth as the bottom 80%, aka the middle and working class of our country. This idea that giving tax cuts to the rich is good for the middle and working class of this country, that the money will trickle down to middle and working class people, has been beyond debunked. We have been doing trickle-down economics for the past 4 decades, and look, it doesn't work. The wealthy just keep all the wealth for themselves. And it is really messed up because there are a lot of people hurting in our country. And we have a lot of issues that we need to address, like education, healthcare, and raising wages. But our politicians act like we don't have the money to address these issues. But we do. As Alexandria explained, the way we pay for these things is the same way we pay for our military. At the end of the day, it's all about us re examining our priorities in America. We need to significantly reduce our military spending. We need to make the wealthy and corporations start paying their fair share. And we need to start investing our money in actually helping people and making people's lives better, not worse.